Okay, getting ready to fire this one up. Walt Lumpkin first in tonight. Rainy night in Georgia. Walt, I'm so sorry to hear that. We're headed to sunny Florida here just any minute. Hang on, come with us. We're getting ready to go to Daytona. What's up, Dennis Stauber? Good to see you. Moringa, Illinois checking in. Matthew Travis, giving props out to Chopper Town. Robert Anderson, great show. Awesome, man. Glad to see you here. David Bird in the house. Barry Gibson. Nancy Keener checking in from Maryland. Mike Draco with us. Steve Henderson. Jeremy Sather. Good to see all you guys. Hey, I'm Chris with Cycle Source Magazine. We're getting ready to fire up a great episode of Coast to Coast. This show goes live every Tuesday, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time through Cycle Source Social Media Network and our friends over at Chopper Town. If you like what you're seeing here in this brand of Tool Entertainment, make sure you hit the like and share button. Help us get this message out everywhere. We're going live in just 2.5 minutes with Coast to Coast. Stick around. Jimmy Bradley, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Good to see you, man. Kansas in the house. Mike Draco, Cincinnati. Walter Bednarski, New Jersey. A lot of support up in New Jersey. We appreciate all you guys. Look, we're about 1.5 minutes out. Better get a good seat. Get ready. Cris and Michael getting ready to take this one coast to coast in just 1 minute, 30 seconds. Brian Peltier, want to see Mass. Good to see you. 1 minute. Down to 1 minute. In from Central Texas. I hope you're keeping your powder dry and your thermostat high, because man, you guys have had it tough down there. Hey man, just 16 seconds left. That means it's time to get this one out of the stable and up onto the racetrack. It's time to go live with Coast to Coast. Here we go.
Hey everybody, welcome to Coast. It's Tuesday night, coming to you live from Maui, Hawaii, where it is not raining for a change. Our show has been growing every week, and we're so excited to bring you all these interesting women from all over. We're going to have some people from out of the country in the next few weeks, and Mike and I will talk more about that as we start the show today. But I want to bring in Michael Lichter, Boulder, Colorado, checking in. Where are you?
I'm here.
Were you off the ski slope today? Were you skiing or not?
Nope. I was working crazy,
Oh my
just trying to
gosh.
meet some deadlines. And
Really?
yeah, just
Oh.
busy. And I went
Okay.
yesterday and they turned me around. The mountain was closed.
Oh,
I got up there and they said the power went out and they had to turn me around. I was bummed out. But I'm
gee.
going tomorrow with Andrea and Bob, our guest Andrea LaBarbera.
Right.
So I'm
Right.
meeting them tomorrow. So that's gonna be awesome. All
Well,
good,
she's
but
pretty
busy times.
competitive, so you better she's gonna try to outski you and
I know she
pass you.
will. She'll get me, I'm sure. She is one competitive lady there. So
She's
we
awesome. Well,
all know
have
that.
fun. I know I miss everybody. I wish I could see more people, but I'm out here on this rock, you know? It's
Yeah,
it is
you're
what
out
it
on
is.
the rock,
I'm on the
out
rock.
out on an island at
Yep.
sea. You are.
Yep. I am. I'm pretty far from everybody, but
But you
not
know
for
what?
long.
I do have something
Mhm.
to announce. It's actually, I'll
Yeah.
probably post it like in
Mm.
about the next 2 minutes. But I
Mhm.
post something to Facebook in support of Willie's Tropical Tattoo. They have their big show next week, which
All
I hope
right.
anybody that's in the area goes to Willie's for his Thursday extravaganza, the old school bike show. And I know Chris Callan is there. He's going to be shooting the whole thing. And he's been he and Cycle Source have been a huge supporter of
Mhm.
Willie's uh, old
Mhm.
school show for years. But Willie supports a vets group down there. And in
Mhm.
support of Willie and that group, I'm donating 16 images that they're
Oh,
making prints of. And
oh,
actually, maybe if it's on my Facebook, I don't know if you can go to my Facebook or Old Bike
right.
Barn's Instagram, Chris, you could show it. It just went live about 10 minutes ago, and it'll be on my Instagram in just a few minutes. So there'll be 16 images, and people can order prints. And I just donated the images, but they're taking care of the printing and whatnot and shipping it. And so all the proceeds will go to this veterans organization. And
Right.
there's pictures of I got um, Billy Lane sitting on his first hubless with a
Mhm.
German Shepherd sitting through the back tire, and Arlen Ness in 1987. Got
Nice.
Richie Penn on his last ride, the last day, and
Oh,
we got some pictures of bikes and motors, engines, all sorts of stuff. So hopefully people are interested and they'll support this cause and buy a print. And
that's
I
a
don't
great
get
cause.
anything out of it, so it all goes to the
Right.
vet. So it's a good
Oh,
cause.
that's a great show, and I'm sorry we're missing it this year. And there are a lot of
Oh my
events
God.
for women. Our show's about women in motorcycling, but it's also about the men in our lives doing stuff. But there's some great. Willie's is a great show. I
Oh,
never
it's
miss it when
awesome.
I'm in Daytona. It's always one of my favorite places to go. And I remember the Limpnicky lot. That was kind of one of my other favorite places to go. Remember those
Yeah.
days?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, our
Um,
first. Let's get to talk about our first guest. Our own
yes,
guest.
Audra Cabral. Now I met
Mhm.
Audra a few years ago, and I met her. She was doing events with her Cheap Thrills brand, and she has some really cool looking product that she and
Mhm.
Oliver Peck have put together, her partner.
Mhm.
And so Audra will go to shows, and oftentimes she's there by herself without Oliver. She travels all over the country. She has a very cool old van, and she loads up some very cool bikes, including one that she loves to get out and ride on wherever
Right.
she goes. And so I've run into them at many events, and
Mhm.
we've actually I'm really impressed with her energy and her just who she is and what she's done. She
Right.
also has a vegan restaurant that she opened over a year ago in
Gee.
Austin, Texas, which is where they're based. They do an event that she organizes down there called
Right.
the Southern Showdown. A lot of stuff going on, but really her vibe
Mhm.
and energy is what attracted me to her and who she is.
Mhm.
So on that note, we should just bring her
Yeah,
in and
let's
let her
bring her
tell
in.
her story.
So cool. I'm so glad I got to meet her. I love her.
Yeah.
Yeah. Come on in, Audra. Hi.
Audra
Hi.
Cabral, so good to see you in that Tibetan restaurant in the background.
The sombreros.
I know you're at home, but it just makes
Yeah.
me, it has that warm red feeling to it, like you'd see in Tibet.
Tibet, Texas. It's
Tibet,
my
Texas. There you go.
new town.
South Texas, yeah.
Very cool. Audra, so you have quite a story that goes back
I
way
see.
ways, but yeah, I'm fascinated. I know you've only been doing the bike thing for, I guess, less than 10 years. Isn't that true?
Yeah, it's actually just about 10 years now, yeah.
You know what? I'd actually like to back up further
Yeah.
before you're into bikes, because
Okay.
Actually, let's bring on the first picture, which is so cool. I know
Oh,
it's
yeah.
it's kind of a rough copy of an old photograph, but if we could bring that up, because that kind of brings your family into it. Why don't you tell us about this?
So my dad was definitely into building cars and off-roading every chance he got, and racing as well. But growing up, he mainly focused on building like a lot of dune buggies. And so we spent a lot of our time like in the desert or at a lake. Normally in Page, Arizona is where we spent a lot of our summers and everything. And if we weren't there, then we were in El Paso where I grew up, and we were in the desert. So yeah.
And then but you have 3 younger brothers, right?
I do.
Is it-
Yeah, I have 3 younger
Younger
brothers.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And I think you said one of them rides motorcycles.
He does
sport
mostly.
bikes.
So before you were into bikes, I guess you had this interest in vans, right? What was that all about?
Well, the very first vehicle I learned to drive was a 1979 3/4 ton Chevy van. And yeah, I had that all throughout high school, sophomore to senior year. And so my friends and I decked it out on the inside and took it everywhere, and parties, desert shows, all the fun stuff. So yeah.
I was just thinking about the vans that we had in high school, and they had like the guy would pull up to the house with the van with the shag carpeting in it. My mom
Mine
would be like, "You're not going in that van."
Well, I was the chick pulling up in the van with the shag carpet. Yeah.
I mean, you could really do a lot of stuff with it with the van.
Yeah.
I mean, fun, really cool stuff. Yeah, I love this the van
Nice
stuff.
stuff.
It's really
So,
neat.
but then you got married at a young age, didn't you?
Well, I was with my ex-husband since we were 18, but we didn't get married until I turned 25.
Oh,
don't know,
really?
2000
Wow.
God,
I
it
yeah.
sounds like me.
So,
We were together for 6 years, and then we got married, and we were married for 3, but we got married on 666. So
wow.
Uh-oh.
yeah.
Oh, it was doomed. It was a doomed relationship.
It
No.
was set up for failure immediately.
Now, what were you doing those 7 or 10 years? Like, how were you supporting yourself, and what were your interests?
Well, in the beginning, we lived here in El Paso, and I worked at like Arby's, but I was also not doing the best things. I did a lot of drugs growing up as a kid, and we decided if we were gonna make it out of El Paso alive, we should go cold turkey, and we went straight edge, and decided to move to Austin, which, Austin's kind of a party town, so it's a little hard being straight edge in Austin.
Austin's weird. Just say it. It's weird, right?
Yeah, it's totally weird.
Yeah. I love Austin. It's a fun town, actually.
Boy,
I
is that city
actually,
growing. It was a little town back then.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is 2001 is when I moved to Austin. And I actually put myself through cosmetology school working at a fabric shop, at a fabric store. And I was doing cosmetology school and all of that, and interning. And then also at the fabric shop, like doing pattern making there and making all the stuff for the mannequins and whatnot. So.
And you like to sew. Always like to sew, though, right? Even when you're a little girl.
Always sewing.
Yeah.
Always sewing. Yeah.
That's cool.
So now, isn't it true your ex was an artist? Is that right?
Yes. Yeah. He spent most of his time drawing or painting. He did a few kind of projects like sculpture type things. But I got to the point where I felt like he needed to be seen more. So I also became kind of like his manager, and our mutual friend Mario was also an artist. So I started organizing art shows to kind of push them out into the world a little bit. And so I would go out and find different spaces. We would completely rebuild them and set up art shows for him, and then whoever else we could find that wanted to partake.
It sounds like you sort of operated at a different speed level than your ex.
Well, that's one way to put it, Mike.
Yeah, I was always pushing him because I thought he was a great artist. I thought he was great, and he was just kind of lazy though, you know.
But you sort of have this exploration side of yourself that he didn't seem to share.
No, he hated the outdoors. He hated flying. For what do you call it, honeymoon? It was pulling teeth to get him to go on a plane. And then the first like 3 days of us, because we went to Australia, and it was one of the places I've always wanted to go, and actually went. But the first 3 days, he stayed in the little hotel room and wouldn't leave. He was super.
my goodness.
You know what? The more I hear about this guy, we were married to the same guy, our first husbands, because it sounds like a lot like my first husband. Sorry. I was
wild.
17 right out of high school. We're together 13 years. I mean, God bless them.
Wow.
Yeah.
But you know, what I'm fascinated by is I heard it said, or I actually heard you say, I believe you said something to the effect that I don't have an artistic bone in my body. I think you said something like that.
You know, I didn't use
because I challenge you on that. I don't buy that for anything.
I would say I'm crafty, but I guess I don't consider myself to be like artistic. I mean, I definitely kind of started to see more of an artistic side when I started doing the upholstery at the upholstery shop I have now. But
let's talk about that. Talk about how you started doing upholstery. I think this is such an interesting story too.
So, like I said before, like I grew up sewing, and I made a bunch of clothes for myself in high school, even like my prom dress and stuff like that. And a friend of mine, who's actually Oliver's best friend, Jeff Milburn, he
an amazing, wonderful person. I'll have to add.
He is an awesome human. And he used this guy for all of his upholstery for about 20 years. I should mention he's a stunt coordinator, stunt driver, and he also builds cars and whatnot. And so he was using this guy, BJ, and BJ had been in business for about 35 years at the time. And I guess Jeff noticed that he wasn't doing everything like he normally did, and everything was taking much longer. And certain projects, he was just kind of forgetting about them altogether. So Jeff would come over and ask him like, hey, like, how's this going? And where's this seat? And he'd be like, I don't know what seat you're talking about. And then they'd have to like search around the shop, and then they'd find it. They'd be like, oh yeah, I'll finish that next week. And so it kind of got a little confusing. So Jeff asked me randomly, because he knew I had a sewing background, if I would just go in and see if he needed help like finishing projects, or he just needed help being organized. Maybe he was just getting overwhelmed. And my nature is to go in and organize things and fix things and manage and kind of play cleanup and whatnot. I've always been a very much behind the scenes, like pushing, supporting natured person, I guess you would call it. And so I went in and introduced myself and talked to him and just kind of tried to figure out like what he needed. And through that time, it became very apparent that he had dementia. And it was more so, it was worse off than the people that were around him knew. I guess in the moment he could play it off pretty well. But through a little bit of time, I would say about a month of being there, there were days where he would have really good days and days where he didn't really know where he was, or he was just kind of picking up random objects, and it was kind of making me nervous. Like I didn't want him to hurt himself. So, but he was an incredible guy. And somehow he became very comfortable with me and allowed me to help him and get the shop organized and fix everything up. And I started contacting all of his customers. There was a lot of customers that had left projects there from 2 months to 10 years. You know, there was a lot of projects there just kind of sitting and waiting. but yeah, I never knew that I could do upholstery, especially automotive. Like I've wrapped like seat on like chairs and stuff like that. Like you just take a stapler and wrap some fabric around it. Um, but as far as doing like a motorcycle seat or headliners were the big challenge. But for
Let's bring
a lot,
some pictures on. If we could jump ahead to image 18,
Oh
just
yeah,
let's
the seats.
kind of
Those are
get we got a little ahead of ourselves, but
Sorry,
this is
yeah.
this is our buddy JP Rodman from Raton, New Mexico. We got into building trikes, and his first images. Why don't you tell us about it?
It's cool.
So this is the second trike that I did for JP. He did this build for Born Free 2 years ago. Is that 2018, I think? 2019. And it was quite the project. I mean, there was a lot going on in there. One, I'd never done a seat like that, where it wrap and snap straight to the frame. And the walls and whatnot, but he's got such an amazing imagination.
I'd say you do too. This next photo with the helmets, I think that's cool that it kind of branched out, that somebody believed that you had the skills and said, hey, Audra, could you, and then we're talking about the liners of the helmets, which I think is just such an awesome thing. I've done that with my old 70s helmet. I had it redone, and it's so cool to keep these old helmets alive.
Yeah. It's a great idea.
So how much work is that? And do you do it for other people now?
I have done it for multiple people. I mean, because I kind of got into it super green and jumped in and had to teach myself most of it. Every time a new project came in, you just never say no.
Mm-hmm.
You have to just dive in and figure it out and hope for the best.
Puzzle.
So,
yeah.
Now
I guess right now you're not accepting any work because of COVID in the shop, right?
Correct. Yeah.
And that's true for the helmets too.
Yeah.
So when things open up, where will they be able to get a hold of you?
For right now, I would say through Cheap Thrills, through the brand would probably be the best spot to get a hold of me, or directly at my email. I do still check the upholstery email and whatnot. So if people did want to get a hold of me there at BJ's Upholstery Texas at Gmail.
Cool.
They could definitely
great. We got a few more. Let's run through a few more of these upholstery pictures. We've got another seat with a lot of detail on it, and then one of JP and another one of JP's really wild trikes.
That's bizarre. Yeah. Oh, that's cool. I love that design. Really neat.
That was a friend, David Dixon out of Houston. He has a few builds that I've done some seats for.
Oh, and here's the famous trike, right? Replete with its white shag. I mean, that is.
What's on the inside? Is that like a little? What is that?
So the whole inside of that cab is white fur, and then I just made some throw pillows to go in there because it needs to be comfy.
I would say
it's pretty large.
Accent the trike, definitely. That's cool. And these other seats are really cool. Wow, you do such great work.
Very cool stuff.
And then the cars, the vintage cars and the headliners and stuff, man.
This Volkswagen, it's great. But let's back up the story a little bit to you and Oliver, because Oliver and you share a lot more than just a home, and you share businesses and a lot of travels together. If we go back kind of to the beginning of our photos here, you can see.
And for people who don't know who Oliver is, we should tell them.
Oh, definitely. Why don't you tell us who Oliver is?
Yeah.
So Oliver Peck, he is a tattoo artist first and foremost, based here out of Dallas, Texas, and he owns Elm Street Tattoo, and that's been his baby for the last 25 years. This is actually their 25th anniversary is this year. And so now he has a few more shops here in Dallas, and there it is.
That's a lot of tattoos.
And Oliver really became quite famous through a television show.
He did. He was a judge on Ink Master. Before that, though, he did a lot of work. He would travel with the Warped Tour and he tattooed on Warped Tour for many years as well.
Wow. Has anybody had a longer lasting tattoo show on TV?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
13 seasons, right?
15 seasons, yeah.
How did you guys meet?
Yeah, from the tattoo shop, really. When I moved to Dallas, he used to actually have a piercer working there, and I just went in to get pierced first, and then I started getting tattooed there. And yeah.
One thing led to the next.
I love these pictures of you guys together. They're just so beautiful.
Yeah, let's show a few more of those pictures.
Did you take these, Michael? I must say you probably did.
I didn't take all, but I took quite a few. I took this one in, that last one was in Raton, New Mexico, and this one was on the Chase when you joined up to come meet Jeff Milburn.
Yes, yeah.
At one of the stops, because Jeff doing all the work for Oliver's bikes. And how many bikes in the collection you guys have?
I think he's up to like 47 now, and then I only have 3 bikes. He has 47, so.
Can I get a
like, like early bikes? What kind of bikes? Like American bikes?
All Harley Davidson except for one Triumph, I think now, and then one Ducati.
Nice.
And then the plan is to come on the next Cannonball, I guess, that you'll be support and be at all the stops, and Oliver be running some bike, right?
Yes, that's correct. Yeah.
So you got into riding when you met Oliver, then you decided you wanted to get your own bike, or how did that happen?
I knew I always wanted to ride, but my ex-husband was definitely not into that world or anything like that. And once I realized that relationship wasn't working out, I kind of looked into doing a lot of things that I wanted to do for my life. And once Oliver and I actually got together about a year or less, roughly a year or around a year, he finally was just like, do you just want to ride your own bike? And I'm like, yeah, I do. So started on a Bonneville and rode around the neighborhood, and then finally took my motorcycle license course and passed that. And and the rest was history. And I've been riding ever since.
Wow. Nice guy to say that. I like that. I like when a guy says, do you want to ride your own, or do you want to ride with me? I like that. That's really cool.
He is incredibly supportive. Like, he pushes me all the time, and I couldn't be luckier. So
do you push him?
Oh yeah, definitely.
You think? Come on. Of course she does.
So let's mention the restaurant at that point, because
I'm gonna talk about this.
How did that happen? Who pushed who on that one?
I would say he would say I pushed him a little bit, but I felt like he pushed me. Like, he always knew that I wanted to create something like this, and through just like years of talking about, wanting to actually have some kind of like either an all vegan bar or a little cafe or something like that. He found a spot in Deep Ellum, and he was like, well, you want to give it a shot? And I'm like, yeah, let's do it. And then we just made it happen. So
and are you the main chef, or do you have
no, it is me. So I made all the recipes, the smoothies, juices, the food, all of it. So
what's Deep Ellum? Is that an area, or what is that?
It's an entertainment district right outside of the downtown area here in Dallas.
And it is cooler than cool. It is.
I've been there. I just didn't know there was a name for it. I've been there. I didn't know there was a name for it, because I'm I lived in Texas as a kid. I lived in San Antonio. My dad was in the Air Force. We moved around a lot, but that's cool. I'll have to check that. And you're vegan, of course. So
yeah.
So tell us about that. Like, how long have you been vegan, and why, and how did that come about?
So I think it's been going on about 16, 17 years now. And I just, it's definitely for the animal aspect of it in the beginning, and through lots of research, it has now become more health-based, and that's the main push behind the restaurant. Is I try and do everything to maximize the amount of nutrition that is in all the food. So I go out of my way to find like the best quality that I can. So even down to like the ketchup, like there's no corn syrup, you know, like there's not a stitch of corn syrup in the building. Very limited, if no preservatives, unless they're like natural, like citrus, lemon, that kind of thing. And yeah, try to make it as wholesome as possible. And
So when our friend Danger Dan walks in, does he bring a slab of bacon with him, or does he go
brings a
cold
back
turkey?
strap.
he knows better now. Yeah, he knows better. Yeah,
He hasn't even tried
he
yet.
comes and eats there. He can't deny it. He comes and eats and loves it.
Yeah,
So.
he comes off of this hard ass that only eats meat, right?
Yeah.
And he's killed every piece of meat that's gone in his body
God.
himself with his own knife
Yeah.
at his side.
Yeah. I mean,
And
there's something to be
secretly,
said for that. Yeah.
secretly he's off at Tiki Loco getting charged up. I love
right.
it.
It looks like a great restaurant. I can't wait to try it. I'm going to have to check it out next time I'm in Dallas.
Oh, I would love that. Yes, please do.
Make it down there. Let's take a short break, and I want to come back and talk to you more about all that kind of stuff. So let's take a break for here's a word from our sponsors. How about that, Mike?
Excellent. Let's do
Here
it.
we go. Come right back. Okay.
Ever since I was younger than Gavin, I knew that I wanted to ride. I'd see a group of bikes going down the highway with all their gear packed on, and I just thought that I definitely want to do that. That's what I want to do. My current bike is a 2016 Harley-Davidson Road Glide Ultra. I think it would be awesome if when he's old enough to ride, you know. I'd love to be able to go riding with him. He won't want to ride on the back forever. We just did an exhaust swap, well, slip-on exhaust swap.
My favorite part is when screwed both out, took them out. He did a test sound before that, and when it was all out, it was louder than it was before.
Oh, because we pulled the baffles out, didn't we?
Yeah.
Yep. I want to take people with me in my travels and stuff and show them the Midwest. Not just for the Midwest, but just to encourage people to get out there and explore. I'm Andrew, this is my son Gavin, and we are a Dennis Kirk family.
The Fueling name has been associated with racing and high-performance engines since 1974, when founder Jim Fueling started fueling the flames. From Daytona to Monaco, from the Bonneville Salt Flats to the Indy 500. Fueling is here to compete. Look for the Flying Pig to run up front this year with pilot Ben Boschman. Fueling. No bullshit, just performance.
Do we not have the best commercials? Come on, that
We
little
do.
boy, I mean, just tugs my heart when I hear his little voice every week. I'm just like, oh my God, that kid's so cute. We have so many people watching. We're getting some questions. We have Nancy Weems is there, Kanjana is there, and Walt.
And some people have commented about the food at Tiki Loco as well.
Oh yeah, some of the Tiki families watching this live. Kay Williams, that's so cool. Walter wants to know if there's any motorcycles in the restaurant.
We should kick that off with Audra.
And
don't
I
know.
should put a
see
motorcycle
any.
in the restaurant. I
What's
do
that?
not. I don't have any motorcycles in the restaurant. I should though.
Two separate sides
Oh,
to your life, right?
Yeah,
that's right.
just go ahead and put
That
them
could
together.
happen. Yeah,
Maybe we need a
definitely.
little integration there. 50 bikes at the shop and none at the restaurant.
Yeah, no kidding.
You can hang it from the ceiling. If there's no room, you hang it. I used to have one in my
Yeah.
living room. It was great. Yeah.
Did we show all the pictures of
Well, we got
Tiki
some more.
Loco? I don't know if we have any more.
There's more pictures of the
Chris-
restaurant, I
Yeah.
think. And then we got to
Yeah.
look at some of her bike stuff because she's got some really great pictures of the bikes. Yeah, this, vegan food is so good. It's not like it used to be, I have to say.
No.
It's changed. You can.
It's
It's actually
definitely
really
changed.
tasty now.
I mean, now you have Beyond Meat,
Yeah.
which is incredible. That's what we use for our
Yes.
burgers. It's yeah.
Oh, I love that. My
There's the
husband and I
chef.
get those. Yeah, we go out and get those once a week. Beyond Burgers. They're really good. If you guys
love-
don't like beef and you like the taste of beef
hmm
and the texture of beef, but it's not beef.
You know,
Yeah.
even if you don't put a motorcycle in there, you could put, I think a mini bike could fit right on top of that
Oh yeah.
header there above the bar area.
Oh yeah. I mean, the high ceilings, I could probably figure something out. We can make it
Yeah,
happen.
hang one from the ceiling. Oliver
Yeah.
could figure that out,
Yeah,
right?
that little blue one.
Oh yeah.
So we got to talk about your bikes. Because Brian wants to know what kind of bikes you ride. I know you said you learned on the Triumph, the Bonneville, right?
Yeah. The second bike that I was actually mine that was a 81 FS. And that's the one that I rode the most. And then I finally got my birth year bike, which is an 82 FXR. Oh, this one right here is my my long trip bike, and that's a
Right.
2014 Dyna. So that's my reliable, super reliable bike.
Loaded for bear. You look like
Oh,
you're
yeah.
camping somewhere.
There you go. So you started
Yeah.
out, you had an 81 Shovelhead, then you went to the 82 FXR.
Yes,
Do you still have that FXR?
I do. Yeah,
Oh, those are cool bikes. Really
Yeah,
hang on to that one. Yeah.
that
that's a
one
great
I
bike.
still ride. So
Nice. Oh,
yeah.
this is a picture from the Tail of the Dragon, right? When you did the
Yeah.
ride with the girls. So we're gonna talk about more of your riding stuff for sure, because I know you've been doing some riding with the ladies too, which is kind of fun, huh? It's a little
Yeah,
different.
I actually finally got an opportunity this year or I should say in 2020, not this year.
Right.
In 2020, I got an opportunity to ride with a bunch of ladies, which I'd never done before.
It's a different vibe. I mean, it's
It is.
riding. Riding is riding, but I don't know. There's just something different about it. I can't explain what it is, but maybe it's obviously when you stop, it's different because maybe there's different talk or not talk or whatever. But
Yeah.
there's something about riding with girls. There's your FXR. Those are such great bikes.
I like that shot. I took that in
you did.
Raton, New Mexico. We ran out to a lake
Mhm.
and everybody was running in skinny dipping in there.
Yeah.
And then, well, what, maybe you could tell us a little bit about, you've gotten more involved with these, I don't know if it's women's groups or you just have a core group of women friends that you ride with, because you just took a big ride back east, or I know you've done a couple of women's events. So why don't you tell us a little bit about what that's like? We've heard it from the promotion side because we interviewed the promoter of Babes Ride Out, but maybe we could hear your side of this, what it's like on that end.
From my perspective, I've actually mostly just rode with dudes. That's been the bulk of my riding throughout the years. And it wasn't until 2020, so this past year, that I rode with an actual group of ladies. I've rode with like one chick here and there within like a big group of guys, like for a river run or run to Raton, or we have also the Cosmic Shed, who Scott from Chemical Candy Customs. That's one of the things that he puts on a couple times a year. But my very first all-female ride was a rather big one. We had several ladies from all over the country meet us in Dallas. And when I say us, that's also my friend, Kayla Williams. And we actually rode to West Virginia and Seneca Rocks for her event. And this past year, 2020, was the third year that she put it on. And her event is called Grits and Glory.
That's kind of a long ride for just a ride with a couple women.
Yeah. So it was
Texas all the way to West Virginia. Wow.
it was 5 of us, I think, at the start that started in Dallas, and by the time we got there was 9 of us. So
Well,
yeah, we had
sounds like a lot of
multiple-
fun.
Was this
Yeah.
like a group or just kind of word of mouth? Someone knew someone, and then is that how you
No,
got
so
together?
all of these ladies are Kayla, my friend. These are all of her friends that she's met through multiple all women events. She's the one that actually pulled me into a lot of it. I have to give her a lot of credit for that.
Oh,
Yep, that's the one.
very cool.
So how do you like it when you're on the road for a number of days with the all dude ride or the all ladies ride?
Yeah. The all ladies ride was a very different experience. I was very surprised because they asked me to lead the whole trip. So I ended up leading the whole way to West Virginia, which was a little wild for me.
Wow.
But really exciting. It was
Mhm.
yeah, pretty
That's
incredible.
a big responsibility being the leader too, isn't
Yeah.
it? Because it's
Yeah.
like my saying is always don't lead if you don't know where you're going.
Yeah.
Because
Well,
I used to have to lead groups of, this is in the 80s, like we remember Mike when we had our ladies rides out in Sturgis
Sure.
and
Yeah.
gosh, early 80s,
In the 80s,
85, 86. I don't know what year it was, 86.
late 80s.
87.
Yep.
But anyway, yeah, it's a lot because you're like, okay, I move over now, and you got to really know what you're doing. So that's really cool that they gave you that. That's kind of an honor, I would say.
100%. Yeah, I was very bewildered at every stop, and I was like, "Does anybody else want to take over?" No, and they're just like, "No, you're doing great." And I'm like, "All right, I'm just gonna keep on keeping on the way we're doing it." So, I mean,
Wow.
I normally feel pretty good about just kind of like taking charge and going with it. But with it being like Kayla's event and one of the other ladies that was with us, she also partners with Kayla to put on Grits and Glory. And so I just wanted to make sure that everybody felt supported. And the fact that they trusted me was pretty massive. And
That's
very,
huge.
very
I have to tell you
heartwarming.
that,
Yeah.
because that's a big responsibility because you could screw everybody up. Just take a wrong turn or do something. Everybody's turning around. I know I've been down that road too. So good for you. That's awesome. And I know you rode through Arches. That's one of my favorite places. You rode through Arches.
Yeah, so that was actually a separate trip.
Okay,
Kayla, yeah, we were actually going to Sturgis for that. So we went up, Kayla and I went up to Sturgis, stayed in Deadwood for a bit, and then we went to Yellowstone for a few days, camped there. We also met up with Oliver and a few other of our friends. And then from Yellowstone, we actually went up to Glacier, which if you've never rode around in Glacier, it is like unworldly. It is gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous.
We did that on the last Cannonball in 2018. We did the Road to the Sun
Oh,
on old bikes.
so
That was
Is it Road to the Sun? But we got in a good rainstorm there at the other side of that pass.
Road to the Sun in the rain, right, Mike?
We sure did.
Yeah, we did. That was fun. I loved it.
It was
up
beautiful
there.
though. It was gorgeous. It really was.
Pretty. So you've done some riding. You're getting around.
Yeah.
I love that. That's great.
Oh.
And that was your first time in Sturgis, right? In 2020.
It was 2020, first time in Sturgis. Yeah.
What did you think?
I loved it. I'd always was very unsure about that event. I've never been to something quite that big, and it wasn't even as big as it normally is. So I can't even imagine like how incredible it is otherwise. But yeah, I really, really enjoyed it.
Right. Well, it's one of the first times I think Mike and I didn't go. So,
Yeah, really.
we didn't go last year.
Will you go back? That's the question.
Good question.
Yeah, we're definitely going back this year for sure.
Are you? Great.
Yeah.
So we all meet up there.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. So, actually, Jason Sims, he commented here, ask her about Rico. I have no idea what that means. It's cryptic to me, but hopefully it means something to you.
Oh, is he talking about my dog, Ricardo?
Oh, it's your dog.
Is that my
can't
puppy
spell.
talking about? Rico?
Could be.
A lot of people call him Rico, which I think is cute.
Okay, I guess that's what it was.
Ricardo.
Yeah, Ricardo.
And is it a he?
He is a he, yeah.
He's a he. Okay, is he coming on the Cannonball?
More than likely, yes. Yeah, he will be there.
Is there going to be iced coffee on the Cannonball?
Definitely iced coffee. Yeah.
Okay,
And
what's with the iced coffee? Are you, is
oh
something
my
you
God.
like? Yeah.
Boy, can she shake an iced coffee.
Oh.
I'm telling you.
Well, so most of the events we go to, we just give out like free coffee, like, and we just make like
Oh,
mocha lattes and that kind of stuff. And it's a cold brew blend that is insanely strong, and we just kind of thin it out. Maybe
Now,
Americano or something. Yeah.
I don't normally need coffee, but when I see Audra, I gotta have some. And Sean's with me, and Sean is like begging Audra, don't give it to him, don't give it to him.
Please don't give
And
my
then
dad coffee.
I don't know if it was 2 years or 3 years ago, but I've been getting the coffee at various events from her, and we're at Born Free, and I got my coffee, and I'm walking away from the booth, and I'm about halfway through the coffee, and I am just lit up, and
Yeah.
my brain is going supercharged, and I return to the booth, and I go, "Have I got an idea for you?" And that's when I said, "You guys need to come on the Cannonball." And Oliver
Oh,
can
you
tattoo his.
started it. You
Yeah,
started
well,
did.
no, Audra started it by giving me the coffee.
Well,
it. See, this is why I
And
don't drink
then
coffee. I can't do coffee. I'm wacky. You know me. I'm a little ADHD. Whatever.
I was whacked, but I think it was a great idea. Right now, is
Yeah,
that still the plan? Are you going to tattoo your way across the country? And can you explain
so.
what that's going to be like? For I know some of our viewers are going to be coming to the Cannonball or even on the Cannonball, and I'm sure people are curious how that's going to all work.
well, so yeah, Oliver's going to be writing, and he does have a 1919 that he's been working on since the Cannonball that
2 or
was
3
supposed
years. Yeah.
last year.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Cool.
he'll be riding, and I'll be driving the chase van, and then we'll just set up Cheap Thrills at each stop and have coffee.
Oh my
here's
goodness!
my-
You sound like you're going to be riding a 2019 production bike, not a 1919 production bike. I
19.
mean, these bikes take a lot of work. Now, how's the work
Okay.
on the bike going to get done?
That's what I was gonna say. Do you have a mechanic along?
Yeah, we'll definitely. Oh yeah, I'm not working on this
Oh.
bike on the way. No. I'm not mechanically inclined that way. I'm still learning, but no, we'll have a mechanic with us on the road.
If you
Cool.
give out enough coffee, you'll have many mechanics show up. They
Oh,
will
yeah.
help.
Oh yeah.
And
Well,
part of
that's
that supercharged idea was that you are going to run Cheap Thrills along the way. Is that still part of the formula?
That's correct. Yeah.
So
Isn't
tell
that
them what
cool?
cheap thrills. Tell people what cheap thrills is, because I'm not sure if we explained all what cheap
Oh.
thrills is.
True. So Cheap
Right.
Thrills is like it's a lifestyle brand that's based in everything: motorcycles, skateboarding, BMX. It can be anything. It's whatever excites you. That's
That's cool.
quick and easy.
Right. Oh, Oliver says he's riding a 1916. Okay, that's a little
Or
different.
1916. Sorry, 1916.
Yeah, no,
Oliver
that's-
also chimed in with
Yeah.
the correction that his name is Ricardo. He's been watching diligently, as have your as your restaurant people. Your Tiki family is watching this live.
Oh
And a
my
number of other fans that enjoy your food have commented as well. So you have to read that later. But back to Cheap Thrills, because that is what kind of gets you on the road. We showed
Yes.
that picture of your back with the Cheap Thrills shirt. So
That's
you
what
have all
keeps
this
me on the road.
product.
Cheap thrills. I'll tell you,
Yeah.
you can't be without cheap thrills.
Yeah, I mean, first off, explain where the name comes from for
Yeah.
people that don't know.
Well, Oliver and a friend of his started the company about 20 years ago or so. And it kind of lived a little bit, and they made a few items like some shirts and whatnot, just like as a gimmick. And then we revitalized it a few years ago and really started pushing for it. And it's kind of had a created a life of its own now. And so it's just this lifestyle brand that we use and push and support. So
Well, but my recollection from when I was a kid is that Cheap Thrills was Big Brother and the Holding Company. That's my
Yay!
recollection, and
yes.
some very famous art that was on that album. I mean, how
Yeah.
much do you tie into that, or do
Mhm.
you at all? Is it just the name?
I feel like that would be more of a question for Oliver. Yeah. So
All
that's
right.
definitely it's definitely inspired him for sure. Everything, all the above growing up. But
Well, it sounds like Oliver's going to make an appearance on Shop Talk sometime, so I'm sure
Yeah.
they can ask him more about that then at that point. And someone wants to know your restaurant. Is it in the Arts District?
No, Deep Ellum.
Deep Ellum. Okay.
Yeah, on Elm Street, actually.
Elm Street. Okay. You're going to have people come to your restaurant. I know I'm coming there. I love that kind of
I'm
food.
coming.
I
And we do
know.
have viewers. There
Mhm.
was somebody commented. I don't see here. My goodness, a huge hug from Gustavo Elizire. I don't know, and Giovanna Garcia from Rivera, Uruguay.
Wow.
Oh,
Wow. I don't think we've had South America. I don't think we've seen Uruguay before.
okay.
So it's a big hug from them.
Hello.
And
Hi.
and
Thanks.
we got New Brunswick, Canada. They're coming in from all
Okay.
over.
Do you know those guys or they just want a hug? Guys from Uruguay. So like somebody know.
I think maybe just a hug. I don't know.
They just want a hug, I guess.
Yeah.
Big hugs. Okay. I love it. I love watching the comments because it's so fun to see where everybody's at, everybody's from, and if you know them or you don't know them, or
Yeah.
it's really cool. And
It's
Rob
very
just
cool.
checked in. Rob Nussbaum just checked in. Awesome. So I know you guys are into the antique bikes, and what about the Fandango? The Fandango, is that the Austin show?
Yeah.
Is that from
That's the antique show that's coming up soon.
It
Right,
is. So
that's
MPA, so
awesome.
they that's coming up in, I believe, April 9th. And then Oliver will be hosting a chopper show as part of it now. So they haven't had that before. They're going to incorporate it this year. So
I'm sorry, what are the dates for that this year?
April 9th through the
April
11th.
9th.
Yeah.
I think it was canceled last year because that's Steve Klein's involved in it. That's Cherokee chapter.
Yeah, that chapter is
Yeah.
super active.
Yeah, great people.
Super active chapter. But now, of course, then you have your big event, the Southern Throwdown, which is a bit of a problem because normally it's scheduled smack in the middle of the Cannonball. So why don't you tell us about the Southern Throwdown?
So the Southern Throwdown this last year was going to be our 8th year, but thank you, COVID.
The gift that keeps giving.
I know it. But it's something that actually started as part of our tattoo convention. And then it became so big that we had to separate the two. So we have the Elm Street Fest, which is in May. And then we had to separate Southern Throwdown and we place that in the fall. So we have enough time to plan for both. And myself and Sean Endicott are the ones that are coordinating to do that. That's a photo of him right there. That's Sean, my partner in crime for it. And so we've been tackling this beast now for the last 7 years. And yeah, and so we have all kinds of vintage motorcycles and then vintage vans that get to enter into the show.
And you promise this is going to work with the Cannonball, right?
So Oliver thinks that we can.
And now I'm waiting for Oliver to comment.
Yeah, of course it's going to work. They're going to make it work, right?
We have to make it work. So the 2019, we somehow made it work by having Friday the 13th, which is a 24-hour tattoo marathon that Oliver has been doing for 20 plus years at his tattoo shop. And so we're up for about 30 hours for that. And we went from that into Southern Throwdown, which was the same weekend, and then straight into the finale filming for the show for the last season of Ink Master.
Wow.
So that was the most wild 8 days probably of my life. So I feel like we might be able to pull off Cannonball and then go straight into the Throwdown.
I don't. You got to take that word "might" out. Might be. Let's
We
remove
have
that.
to.
We
We're
will
doing
be
it.
able, right?
Yeah.
I know
Okay.
Oliver, you said Oliver was going to be tattooing along the way in the Cannonball?
Yes, he's gonna do a tattoo a day, and and then I'll be running the Cheap Thrills booth. So
Cool. Wow.
You know, I what I think is really cool about this is Oliver has a lot of followers, so I think it's really good for everybody. This is great for the Cannonball too. It'll be a great promotion that he's promoting all the stops he's going to be at, and that's going to bring people out as well. And the Cannonball is going to bring people that get to meet Oliver for the first time. So it's awesome for everybody.
You have to get Oliver on the Cannonball Chronicles.
Yeah.
Show on Wednesday nights. He'd love to have him. So Chris is going to have to fight you for him, Rob. because Rob's making a comment
There
about
you go.
the
We
show,
may
but-
have a little comment challenge going on here with
Yeah,
Rob
there you
and
go.
Chris.
Wow. So where do you see yourself 5 years from now? We've been asking some of our guests this question, and I really want to ask you, where do you see yourself in 5 years? What are you going to be doing?
Oh man. That's a great question. I've actually been contemplating I mean, with the way things went last year, I feel like we all took like a really hard hit. And so there's been a lot of like rethinking what's important and what we're doing with ourselves and what we really want to push for the next 5 years. And I'd say for myself, I definitely want to immerse myself a lot more into the female side of the motorcycle community. I didn't realize how supportive and how community-based it was. And I really appreciated what I've experienced thus far with just this last year. This is my only connection with it. And so with that, we're definitely going to be launching the women's Cheap Thrills line, which was supposed to launch last year. We'll be launching it this year. And so I definitely want to see some growth there. But I'm also, my plan is to incorporate the upholstery shop because I have these big projects that I've been wanting to tackle that are lady driven motorcycle accoutrement, I'll say for now, because I have
like
these
that.
little ideas that I want to start using to make it easier for ladies to travel on their bikes.
That is such a cool. I can't wait to see what you're going to be doing. And I tell you, the women's motorcycle movement. I think the millennials are really taking it further. I mean, it's been there since 80s, the motor maids back in the 50s and 60s and 40s and all that stuff. But really, it's so great to see this younger generation. You guys have so many events. A lot of it's Babes Right Out, and we had the Litas, and then there's so many groups and so many that aren't in a group that are just doing these events. And I'm so jealous. I want to get out there and go to some of these. Mike's been trying to get invited to Babes Right Out, but we don't.
I know. It's just not happening. I don't know.
I mean,
I mean, doesn't it count that I'm like a co-host on an all-ladies show?
Maybe for a little bit, but you got some of the wrong equipment. You can't be there.
I'm penalized, sir.
Ouch.
Sorry. Oh, well, you know what I'd like to do? I know we're getting near the end, but I do want to go back to the beginning when I brought up how you said you don't have a creative bone in your body, because I said I was going to challenge that to the show. And now I'm going to bring it up that I think it's your life that's creative. I think really you've just taken a very creative approach to life, whether it's with food, with even your businesses, opening the restaurant and a new line of ladies wear for Cheap Thrills, and the way you travel and the way you market and promote, and the Southern Throwdown. And Southern Throwdown, I think aren't you the one that kind of designs the whole thing, or what's your part there?
Yeah, it does. I kind of helped with it in the beginning, and then over the last like 3 to 4 years, I definitely helped kind of revamp the structure of it, and just help it grow. Really, that's ultimately what I just like to do, is to come in and just give a little bit of structure and organization, and then I mean, I am supported by some really incredible people, and Sean Endicott has been a tremendous help with that, with the Throwdown. Like we're definitely partners in it, and without Oliver and him, I don't know, I could go on for forever. I'm very, very lucky with the people I have around me. And
Well, so then I have to ask, in this past hour, have we created a new self-identity for Audra Cabral? So you see yourself now as a very creative person?
I'd say.
I hope you start to.
I can see it a little bit. Yeah, thank you.
You are so creative. I mean, so inspiring. All the things you do. I mean, from the food to the upholstery to the Cheap Thrills and the events and the vans. I mean, you got so much going on.
Well, and there's another part of this that I think is just incredible, is that you had this other life, and you were a teenager and you had your hippie van and you're having lots of fun in that. And then you get married to an artist. So again, you're always attracted to art and artistry and creativity. And then you really reassessed and said, that's not what I want. And I respect that, because a lot of people are not able to do that. And you really figured out for yourself, that's not working. That's not where I want to go. That's not who I want to be. And you totally reinvented yourself. And I have to applaud you for being able to
Yeah,
do that.
me
And I think
too.
that should be an inspiration to a lot of people.
That's right. It takes
Thank
nerve
you.
to be yourself. Yep.
Yeah.
Find yourself. Yeah.
Well,
Good for you.
Thank you so much. I don't know what to say. I'm like speechless. You guys are so sweet.
Well, it's fun having guests like you because you have so much positivity that just radiates from you and things that you do. And it's like, wow. I mean, the whole thing about the upholstery shop with the guy with dementia, he kind of mentored you. And I just love it. I love your story. And I can't wait to
Yeah.
see what you're going to do next. I'll be watching.
So you've done so much in 8-10 years. So who knows what the next 8-10 will bring.
Oh yeah. I hope it's all good stuff. It is going to be. It's going to be incredible.
And every step just leads somewhere else. It seems like it just opens up so many more opportunities.
Yeah.
That's it.
Well, it's also
Yeah.
about the people you surround yourself with. So yeah.
That's so true. That is really true. Well,
Very cool.
you've got a good group of people around you, and that's wonderful. Oliver sounds like a great guy. Walt wants to see your dog.
But
Where's
he's
the
with
dog?
Oliver right now. He's with Oliver right now on the way to a swap meet with him. So
I know my husband's out with my dog. Otherwise, you'd be hearing is dog right now. So
yeah.
You know,
Same.
one thing I'll ask before we get off, and this is something I put out last week to our to the viewers, but I'll put it out to you as our guest. If there's anybody you'd like to see interviewed on the show that we may not be aware of, because I put that out last week, and we got 2 different people from India suggested alone. One that I'm in touch with now that I believe maybe we'll have them both on, but it's certainly not one right after the other. But I'm already in touch with one, a woman that rides countless miles. She's ridden all over Asia, and just it opens up to fascinating people. So maybe there's some people out there you'd like to introduce us to. So who do you think? Do you have any people that's on your hit list that we should have on?
Yeah. Anybody listening too?
So there is one person, I mean, there's quite a few people, but there's one girl that really stands out, and she is someone that I met on our trip up to West Virginia, and her name is Narissa Kearney is how you think.
Kearney, N-Y or?
Yeah, Cearny, I think, but she is actually an engineer.
It sounds Czech, and it probably was originally Cherny.
Maybe, yeah. So she's an engineer for Harley, a systems engineer. And she was like a lifesaver on the trip. She was very incredible. And I think that she was just a part of their very first virtual product release this year.
Virtual, 2021 bikes. Yeah, it was really
cool.
And
she also started a group called the Iron Angels, which is an all-women's build team.
Oh,
build team?
Like builder, like bike builder team.
Oh wow, that sounds really cool.
Sounds like something Mike wants to have in his show.
Yeah.
Women builders. Someday you'll have enough to do a whole women builder show. That's my dream, right?
You know, I tried. I really tried. I had 5 one year, and that was it took everything. Well, that's a great suggestion. I appreciate that. And if you think anyone else, you let us know. But it's been a real pleasure sharing your story. You know, as I've often said on this show, what this show is for women in motorcycling, but women that have made motorcycles part of their lives, but also inspiring and have compelling stories. And I do believe that is who you are. So thank you for being with us and sharing that.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much.
It's really been great to get to know you, and I hope I see more of you, and maybe we could do some riding together someday.
Oh, definitely. I would love that. I so hope so. I do.
I hope so too. Right on. Well, you take care, and we want to check back in with you in a couple of years after the Cannonball, maybe see how that went even. Okay.
There you go. Maybe we'll do a live one from the Cannonball.
There you go.
All right. Thanks so much, Audra. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Oh, that was so fun. Oh my gosh.
It's cool. You know, I mean, like you said, millennials, younger people that are doing amazing things. And I don't know, it seems like the way communication is sped up, it's almost like life stories have sped up. And she's doing so much. People are open to doing and trying many more things. It's not like, I mean, think about in the 50s and 60s, people got into a career. And of course, in the old IBM days, they put on their white shirts, went to work until they retired, right?
Yeah, they did one thing,
And
people
we kept
doing all
moving
these
further and
things.
further away. But I think
Right.
people like Audra represent how far we have come from that, it's all about change.
Definitely. It's just amazing to see. Yeah, and to be not to be afraid to change, not to be afraid to take those steps and get out of your comfort zone and try new things and things that you probably would never have tried before.
Exactly.
I can imagine that. Right on.
Exactly.
So Mike, let's talk about your auction it's on your Facebook, on
Yeah.
your website.
Yeah. I don't know if Chris could bring it up, but we do have. Oh, there it is. See, that just went live right as we went live on this show. And hopefully we'll raise some decent money for a good cause. Like I said, I just donated my images and they're going to make the prints and sell them. But, there's a shot there. You could see they're all small, but that one of Richie, they're all 10 by 15 prints, and they'll just have a little watermark, a teeny one on the right side with my name in it. So they'll be good to go and good to frame. But there's Billy on his first hubless, Arlen S over the ocean, some pictures from Nepal, because Bear Houghton, who came up with this idea and approached me about it, we met through the Nepal trips that he does in Motorcycle Sherpa. Got the Iron Horse in there.
How did you even pick? How did you pick these? Because you have so many photos.
I know. We actually, there's more. I think we have 14 images that we picked. So people can pick from 14 images in order, and let's see how that works out. We'll report back. It's only till the end of March, and we'll see what we raise for the cause. And certainly it's a pleasure to help Willie Jones out. Willie has been a big part of this industry. He's done this show that there's no admission. If it's Thursday of Bike Week or Thursday of Biketoberfest, it's time to head to Willie's for the best show of the week. I mean, it's really a great show.
Well, I imagine Chris will be filming it or doing a live thing.
Oh, Chris will be busy filming, which is why we have to say we are taking a week off next week, because Chris Callan and the Cycle Source crew, they're going to be so busy down in Bike Week, and we wish them the best for a great week. And before then, we still have we have a Cannonball Chronicles tomorrow night that everybody has to tune into. And I don't know if maybe Chris Callan could chime in if there's going to be a shop talk on Sunday when he's on the road.
No, actually we're taking Shop Talk off on Sunday also to get into Daytona and get everything.
Well, you're going to be busy.
Yeah. I hate that. I'm trying to come up with a solid solution. I mean, with the van, it's way more doable to do these shows mobile. I just need to come up with we're still tethered to a landline internet connection. So once we get to the point where we're, a little more like a satellite truck, it won't matter. But for now, we're still, I hate to be in a position with as good as all of these shows are doing and the work you guys put into them. I don't want to be the reason why they go south, so I'd rather take a week off and, make sure we come back strong.
We have a great show when we come back. Can I mention our guests when we come back?
Yeah. Before we do that, let's just say to Chris, who's going to get Oliver?
Rob or you?
I think there's going to be a fight because already Rob this time already put out in the comments saying, Oliver, I know you're watching out there. Why don't you come on our Cannonball Chronicles? So you better get in there, Chris.
Well, listen, with all the motorcycles that he has and the different sides, that I've known, just the brief parts.
The many sides of Oliver Peck.
Yeah, I think there's plenty. I think there's plenty to go around. So.
Okay, you know what? We'll have to do a live broadcast from the Cannonball. We'll put that on top of Oliver's plate of tattooing every night and fixing his bike.
Well, I'm planning on taking this van on the road and being there for a lot of stuff for Cannonball. So I'm hoping to be involved in that.
I might have to show up. I might have to show my face.
That'd be cool.
Anyway,
so next week, in 2 weeks.
2 weeks, we'll be back on the 16th with Vicky Sanfilippo. Speaking of Cannonball, she's the nurse that comes along with us on the Cannonball. She's a Hall of Famer, wonderful longtime friend, a woman motorcyclist, been all over the country.
And her husband is God. You can't. How can you not say that?
Tony,
he is God.
In Charlie's movie, like you can't miss that casting bit, right? I mean, he was the perfect God for that movie.
Yeah, he's a wonderful
Absolutely.
guy.
And then,
Yeah.
so Spitfire is going to be great because, we all know her from the Cannonball and the great, incredible job she does as the
Yeah.
medical person on there. And then on the, we do have Mary McGee. Can you tell us about her on the 30th?
Mary McGee, oh my God, one of my heroes, another one of my heroes coming on the 23rd, Mary McGee, who's first woman to race in Baja, first woman road racer. She was racing probably in late 50s when I was not even born yet, probably. Hall of Famer, just wonderful all around person in her 80s now. And I think she was still riding up until a couple of years ago doing some events. So
Well, that'll be the
amazing.
23rd. And then on the 30th, we have this, another person that Rob Nussbaum turned us on to, Vanessa Ruck, girl on a bike out of the UK. So we're going to actually have somebody on at 2, 3 in the morning on with us that agreed to be on live. But boy, is her story amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, getting in a big motorcycle accident, coming back. But check her out on Instagram, girl on a bike. She's just always
do that.
doing
And
something on a
then
bike.
we'll all get to learn more about her in about a month. So
Yeah, we
have
got
a bunch of good
guys.
shows. Yeah, we're getting ahead of ourselves. So it's
We're
good.
lined up like airplanes right now.
There you go, coming in for a landing. On that note, it's probably time to take it back to the barn. But thank you, Cyclosaurus, for all your great work and putting this together, helping us out here, making it sound good.
Chris and Heather and everybody, and thanks again to our sponsors, the Fueling and Dennis Kirk and the Sturgis Live Show, which is awesome. It's going to be on
July
Netflix?
1st. Yeah, July 1st they'll be
Netflix?
releasing that again.
We're hoping Amazon, the July 1st deal was
Amazon.
was
I'm
that
sorry,
release, yeah.
Amazon.
Amazon
Okay.
Prime.
There we go. So lots of good things in the mill to come at you all. And on that note, I think take it into the barn, huh?
Right on. Thanks, everybody. Have a great week. Stay safe. You guys have fun in Daytona down there. Oh, women's events. WomenRidersNow.com has a whole list of women's events that are going to be happening in Daytona this week. So check it out if you're going to be down there, ladies. Okay. Be safe, everybody. Chris, drive careful, and we'll see you guys in 2 weeks. All right.
See y'all.
Bye.
Bye.